Your brain didn't evolve to see in the dark. It evolved to assume predators were already there. That shadow in your peripheral vision, that sense of being watched, the certainty that something is behind you. None of it is real. All of it is by design. By the end of this, you'll understand why your fear of the dark isn't irrational. It's archived. And the mechanism that creates it is still operating right now as you watch this. Welcome to the Dark Archive. We don't avoid the uncomfortable questions, we decode them. If you're here to understand the patterns your mind creates in darkness, subscribe. We specialize in the explanations neuroscience acknowledges, but rarely provides to the public. Let's examine the evidence. Darkness doesn't frighten you because of what it contains. It frightens you because of what your amygdala assumes it contains. This structure, older than language, older than tool use, operates on a single principle. False negatives kill you. False positives merely waste energy. Translation: if your ancestor heard rustling in the dark and assumed it was wind, they might be correct 99 times. But on the 100th occasion when it was a predator, that assumption ended their genetic line. The humans who survived weren't the ones who assessed darkness rationally. They were the ones who assumed threat by default. You inherited that bias. But here's where the conventional explanation falls apart. This isn't just about vague anxiety or generalized caution. Your brain constructs specific threats. The figure standing in the corner, the face in the window, the certainty of eyes watching from the hallway. These aren't random. They follow a pattern. The research reveals something precise. When visual input drops below a certain threshold, your brain doesn't simply wait for more data. It fills the gaps. And what it fills them with isn't neutral. It defaults to the most evolutionarily relevant threat: another human, specifically a human-shaped predator with intent. This is pareidolia under pressure. Your visual cortex, starved for information, begins pattern matching against your threat archive. Every shadow becomes a potential silhouette. Every ambient sound becomes footsteps. Every peripheral flicker becomes movement. The monster your brain invented has a consistent morphology across cultures. Humanoid, lurking, watching, never quite visible enough to confirm, never absent enough to dismiss. But this surface understanding obscures the actual mechanism, because the fear isn't happening in your eyes. It's happening 3 synapses deeper, in the pathway between your thalamus and your amygdala. This is the low road, a neural shortcut that bypasses your visual cortex entirely. When light is scarce, sensory data takes 2 routes through your brain. The high road processes detail, context, rational assessment. It's slow, accurate, and in evolutionary terms, often too late. The low road is different. Crude visual information, shapes, and movement goes directly to your amygdala for immediate threat assessment. No analysis. No second opinion, just reaction. In darkness, the low road dominates, and it has a fatal flaw. It interprets ambiguity as danger, that coat hanging on your bedroom door. Your rational brain knows exactly what it is. But your low road processed its silhouette first: vertical form, human height, potential threat. By the time your visual cortex catches up and confirms its fabric, your heart rate has already spiked. The damage is done. What's fascinating is how consistent this response remains across development. Children fear the dark universally, across cultures, regardless of exposure to media or frightening stories. This isn't learned behavior, it's hardwired. Anthropological evidence suggests this fear peaks between ages 3 and 8, precisely when our ancestors would have been old enough to wander but too young to defend themselves. The primal calculus is simple. In the dark, small humans were prey. Fear kept them close to the fire, close to adults, close to safety. The children who ignored that fear didn't contribute to your gene pool. But here's what the data suggests about adults. We don't outgrow this mechanism. We simply learn to suppress the response. The architecture remains active. Functional MRI studies show that even in adults who report no conscious fear of darkness, the amygdala still activates when visual input decreases. The alarm still sounds. We've just learned to ignore it. Until we can't. Stress, fatigue, illness. Anything that compromises your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for rational override, and suddenly you're 8 years old again, certain the shadow moved. Convinced something is breathing just outside your field of vision. This is not regression. This is your default state, finally unmasked. The monster was never in the darkness. The monster is the mechanism your brain uses to navigate it, a guardian protocol written in neural pathways 60,000 years old. Still running, still convinced the shadows hold predators. Still trying to keep you alive in a world that no longer exists. So the question isn't why you fear the dark. The question is why your brain still believes you need to. Drop your theory in the comments, and if you're ready to decode more of these ancient protocols still operating in your mind, subscribe. The archive holds thousands more.